The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Oh, it really did.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
That's right.
Today, we are doing a deep dive based on a headline that has basically taken over the internet. The title of the viral video says it all. She started crying on national TV. What Jenna Bush Hager said next was unexpected.
Yeah, that title is perfectly accurate, honestly.
It really is. I mean, picture the glare of the studio lights, right? You have the rolling cameras of a live national daytime broadcast.
Millions of people watching.
Exactly. Everything is timed down to the literal second. It's orchestrated by producers in a control room who are watching every single frame of the broadcast.
And then out of nowhere, there's just this sudden, completely unscripted pause that catches absolutely everyone off guard.
Right. We are talking about a highly accomplished woman here, someone who is totally accustomed to chatting effortlessly with, people running the free world.
Literally presidents and royalty.
Yeah. And suddenly, she just freezes. Her voice breaks. And she breaks down in tears over a fear that is deeply, painfully relatable for anyone who has ever tried to balance a career and a family.
It stops you in your tracks when you see it. I mean, we are so conditioned to expect that flawless morning show presentation, right?
Yeah, for sure. The constant cheerfulness.
Exactly. So when someone punctures that bubble and broadcasts a really raw, unguarded insecurity into millions of living rooms, it shifts the entire atmosphere of the show.
That is the perfect way to describe what happened on Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Jenna Bush Hager started crying on the air during the Today with Jenna and Sheinelle broadcast.
And it immediately caught fire online.
It blew up.
Yeah.
So welcome to this deep dive. Today we are taking a stack of sources, entertainment news articles, TV broadcast transcripts, and some parenting analysis to figure out what was really behind this viral moment.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. We are unpacking the staggering professional schedule that led to her breaking point, the profound behind-the-scenes support system she leaned on, and what her vulnerability reveals about the impossible balancing act of the modern working parent.
And the context of this particular broadcast is really what makes it so compelling because, this wasn't a pre-planned segment on the struggles of motherhood.
Right, they weren't doing a special report.
No, the producers didn't cue up sad music or anything. It was a genuine crack in the armor that happened mid-sentence. And understanding why that crack happened requires looking at the immense pressure that was building up behind it.
Totally. So to set the scene of that April 30 broadcast, Jenna is sitting on the couch chatting with her co-host, Sheinelle Jones.
Just normal morning show stuff.
Yeah, it starts as totally casual banter. Jenna's explaining that she woke up that morning and had a sudden realization that the next few weeks and months needed to be heavily what she called kid-focused.
And she specifically zeroes in on her middle child. So Jenna has 3 kids with her husband, Henry Hager, 13-year-old Mila, 10-year-old Poppy, and 6-year-old Hal.
Right.
But in this particular moment, the mental weight she is carrying is entirely centered on Poppy.
And here is where she hits the emotional wall. She is mid-sentence trying to articulate her thought process, and she says, how can I show up for Poppy in a way?
And she just stops.
She stops.
Mm-hmm.
She realizes what is happening and says, now I'm crying. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's because I haven't been able to, and she doesn't even finish the thought.
Wow.
Yeah. And the specific trigger for this guilt was actually a recent moment of parenting success, surprisingly.
Which is so ironic,
It is. She mentioned doing an amazing mommy and me activity, but the activity wasn't with Poppy. It was with one of her other children.
Right. And that realization that a win with one child meant a perceived deficit with another is what ultimately broke the dam.
It's like the old spinning plates routine.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
You know the one, right? You see it at the circus, the performer running frantically back and forth. You get one plate spinning perfectly on top of its stick.
It's balanced. You feel great.
You feel like you're doing a great job.
Right.
So you turn your attention to the next plate to get that one spinning. But the terrifying part of the spinning plates act isn't the plate you're watching.
It's the sound of the other plate starting to wobble in your blind spot.
Yes. You simply cannot look at all of them at once.
That captures the psychological toll perfectly, I think, because the guilt isn't just about missing a single event or
Oh,
activity.
it's constant.
It is this constant nagging fear that you are always shortchanging someone, always letting one plate lose momentum while you focus on another. You are constantly anticipating the crash.
Exactly. But she clearly recognizes the heavy nature of what is happening on live TV because her immediate instinct is to diffuse the tension.
She tries to play it off.
She does. She literally pretends to lie down on the set, like she is reclining on a therapist's couch, and jokes, it may look like everything's great, but things are falling apart.
And, well, humor is the ultimate defense mechanism when we feel exposed.
Oh, 100%.
She realizes she just laid bare her deepest insecurity to a national audience, and the instinct is to turn it into a punchline.
No.
But looking at the audience reaction and the online response, people didn't laugh at the joke.
No, they didn't. They recognized themselves in it.
Yeah, they really did.
But wait till you hear what came next, because that's not even the wildest part of the story.
Oh, the context behind the scenes is crazy.
It is. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. By the way, we've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Definitely.
Because it is easy to look at that moment and blame general parenting stress. But if you look at her calendar that week, you realize this wasn't just a busy mom. This was someone operating at a geopolitical level of stress.
Geopolitical is the right word.
To understand why the tears fell, we have to look at the professional mountain she was climbing. Just one day prior to this breakdown, on April 29th, she was at the New York Public Library conducting an interview with Queen Camilla during a royal state visit.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The preparation required for that kind of interview is immense.
You can't just wing it.
No. You are dealing with international protocol, intense media scrutiny, and the intellectual demand of navigating a conversation with a reigning monarch.
And that was just your Wednesday.
Right, just a casual Wednesday.
And if we look earlier in that same month of April, she participated in the History Talks program. She sat down and interviewed 4 living United States presidents: Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and her own father, George W. Bush.
It's an unbelievable lineup.
It's insane. And on top of that, she is actively managing her Read with Jenna book club, which literally dictates national bestseller lists. And she runs her own publishing imprint, Thousand Voices.
Which, honestly, the sheer volume of reading, vetting, and promoting required for the publishing side of her career alone is a full-time job.
Oh, absolutely.
But she is also expanding her footprint in Hollywood and scripted television right now.
She is everywhere. Variety actually reported she has cameos lined up in the upcoming The Devil Wears Prada 2, which is huge.
So huge.
And also the Peacock series, The 5-Star Weekend. Plus, she is moving into high-level producing roles, too. She is producing a mystery pilot for NBC and Peacock called Protection, starring Peter Krause from the show 911.
Yeah, and when she mentioned on air that a pilot had been shooting, she was referring to a massive logistical undertaking.
Hundreds of cast and crew members relying on her decisions.
Exactly. So synthesizing this, we see the ultimate whiplash. This perfectly encapsulates the dual lives that ambitious working parents are forced to lead.
It's like 2 different universes.
Totally. One day, you're commanding a room with a monarch or directing a conversation with former presidents. You feel powerful, competent, and completely in control of your domain. Less than 24 hours later, you are sitting in your own home, realizing you haven't had a meaningful, focused conversation with your 10-year-old daughter, and you feel entirely inadequate.
The competency you exhibit in the workplace just does not translate to a feeling of competency at home.
No, because the metrics for success are completely different. You can schedule a production shoot, and you can research questions for a former president.
You can control those things.
But you cannot schedule or produce a perfect relationship with your child. The jarring transition between the high of professional elite status and the deep, grounding insecurity of motherhood is exactly what creates that emotional breaking point.
Which makes the immediate aftermath of her tears so fascinating. Because later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding the toy assembly, but right now, looking at Sheinelle's reaction.
Oh, Sheinelle's reaction was everything.
In standard daytime television, vulnerability is usually met with awkward, glossed-over banter. The instinct is to cut to a commercial.
Right, like, let's wrap this up.
Exactly. But her vulnerability was met with profound physical empathy from her co-host, Sheinelle Jones.
Sheinelle did not flinch at all. She physically reached out, hugged her, and offered this incredible validation. She told Jenna, "We can't do it all at the same time."
Such a Powerful thing to say.
And she even broke the fourth wall looking out to the viewers at home and said, "You guys, we just had a moment collectively, but it's okay."
Looking at the corporate culture of daytime television, that kind of reaction is a total anomaly. The industry is notoriously cutthroat.
Oh, completely.
It is built on ratings, artificial cheerfulness, and fighting for camera time.
Yeah.
Finding a workplace in that specific environment that acts as a genuine, unconditional safety net requires a very specific shared history.
Yeah, because corporate environments, especially in media, they often view personal struggle as a liability.
Keep it off the screen.
Exactly. The unspoken rule is that you leave your baggage at the door when the red light goes on. But Sheinelle's embrace carried so much weight because she fundamentally understands what it means to need a safety net.
The backstory of the Today Show family provides that context.
Yeah.
In May of 2025, Sheinelle lost her husband, Uche Oji, after a brutal 18-month battle with glioblastoma.
It was so tragic.
It was. She was left navigating her own intense career while suddenly becoming a solo parent to her 3 children, Cayenne, Uche, and Clara. She had to learn in the hardest way possible that you truly cannot keep all the plates spinning by yourself.
And the sources show how the cast rallied around her family during that time. It really highlights the difference between performative TV support and real-life support.
Because they actually showed up.
They did. Savannah Guthrie was physically there at the hospital right after Uche's first surgery. Al Roker was personally bringing breakfast sandwiches into the hospice care facility.
Wow.
Yeah, and in a later interview, Sheinelle explicitly stated, "They were my family, it's not just pretend." They provided the support when the cameras were completely off.
That shared trauma dismantled the artificial boundaries of their workplace. Jenna felt safe enough to let her guard down on live television because she knew the person sitting next to her would catch her.
Right.
Sheinelle wouldn't judge her for crying because Sheinelle had likely cried on Jenna's shoulder off camera during her own devastating loss. You just cannot manufacture that kind of psychological safety.
No, you really can't. And that safety is what allows for this kind of viral authenticity. It also speaks to a larger pattern in how Jenna uses her platform.
Because this wasn't the first time.
Exactly. This breakdown on April 30th was not an isolated incident. She has a consistent track record of deconstructing the myth of the perfect mom.
She pushes back against that curated, flawless version of motherhood we always see in the media.
100%.
A great example of that is the missed play confession. Back in April of 2025, Jenna had Tina Fey on the show.
Oh, I remember this.
Jenna openly confessed that she felt terrible and joked about needing therapy because she missed her 5-year-old son Hal's play due to work travel. She admitted that missing the play left her daughter in tears over her absence.
I mean, admitting to a national audience that your career choices actively caused your child to cry takes an enormous amount of courage.
Most people would hide that.
Absolutely. Because there is a deeply ingrained working mom penalty in our culture. Society demands that mothers be highly ambitious, but also deeply apologetic about the time that ambition requires.
Yeah, it's a completely rigged game.
It really is. The shame associated with that penalty usually keeps those stories hidden. But Tina Fey's response to that confession was incredibly pragmatic.
Because she's been there too.
Right. She was drawing from her own intense production schedule during her 30 Rock days. And she told Jenna, "It's not good for women to pretend that you don't like your work."
Such great advice.
She said, "If you like your job, you like your job." But yeah, I definitely cried a lot when my daughter was younger. You miss some things.
That reframing is vital for you, the listener, to hear, honestly. Tina Fey was giving Jenna permission to own her ambition without the crushing guilt, while acknowledging the inherent sadness of the trade-offs.
It is a total rejection of the idea that you have to pretend working is purely a sacrifice.
Right? Sometimes you work because you love it, and that makes the missed plays even more complicated to navigate emotionally.
And it isn't just the heavy emotional trade-offs that Jenna talks about. She is equally unfiltered about the mundane, pull-your-hair-out frustrations.
Oh, the toy rant.
Yes. Anyone who has ever tried to assemble a child's toy after a long day of work will feel her March 2024 rant in their bones.
The frustration of toy assembly is a universal parenting language. It crosses all socioeconomic boundaries.
It really does.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this part is hilarious. She goes on the air and complains about a $9.99 spent Paw Patrol Rubble and Crew pop-up tent that her son Hal got for Christmas.
A $10 pop-up tent.
Yes. She is detailing how the cords don't fit into the slots and how it took multiple adults to set up this tiny piece of fabric. She even jokes about the internal battle of wanting to throw the entire thing in the trash, but knowing that is terrible for the environment.
Layering environmental guilt on top of the exhaustion of toy assembly is such a sharp, accurate observation of the modern mental load.
You're too tired to build it, but too socially conscious to throw it away.
Exactly. And then she pivots to the ultimate enemy of the tired parent.
The Lego set.
The Lego set. Someone gifted her 4-year-old son an 8+ Lego set, which is already a mistake.
A huge mistake. Her husband, Henry, is incredibly enthusiastic, saying he can't wait for him and Hal to build it together. But inevitably, it is a random Monday afternoon. Henry is nowhere to be found, and Hal is demanding that the Legos be built right now.
The classic disappearing act of the enthusiastic co-parent. They volunteer for the fun idea, but completely miss the execution.
Right. Jenna describes sitting there on a Monday trying to read complex instructions, looking for her reading glasses, trying to match piece A to piece B. And she says Hal's just staring at her, and this is a direct quote, like, "There's something wrong with your fine motor skills."
That is so brutally funny.
She admitted she just wanted to be laying in bed watching Paw Patrol in the tent she'd shoved into a closet.
When we look at why these specific moments explode online, the crying over Poppy, the misplay, the $10 tent, the virality comes down to the power of juxtaposition.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about who Jenna Bush Hager is on paper. She grew up in the White House. She is a first daughter with immense generational wealth and an elite media career. Her life looks absolutely nothing like the life of the average viewer.
Right. Privilege often creates a massive disconnect between celebrities and their audience.
Exactly. But then she gets on television and proves that privilege does not protect you from the emotional gut punches of parenting.
No, it doesn't.
A massive bank account does not make a complicated Lego set any easier to build on a Monday afternoon. Being famous does not insulate you from the guilt of realizing you missed an important moment in your child's life.
Those feelings are completely universal.
Yeah, so when someone with her level of access admits she feels like she is dropping the ball, it validates the exhaustion of every other parent who is trying to manage the same feelings, but with a fraction of her resources. It acts as the ultimate equalizer.
Distilling the key takeaways from all these sources, we started with a single, unscripted moment of tears on live television. But pulling back the curtain reveals the crushing, high-wire schedules that working parents navigate daily.
It really exposes the invisible labor.
It also highlights the immeasurable value of a compassionate, tested support system at work. If Sheinelle Jones hadn't been there, if Jenna had been sitting next to someone who didn't understand personal grief and struggle, that viral moment could have been a disaster instead of a powerful moment of connection.
To you listening right now, we know you have your own invisible plates that you are frantically trying to keep spinning.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe it is a massive project at work, a demanding toddler, aging parents, or just the daily grind of keeping a household running. You hear those plates wobbling, too. The fear that you are focusing on the wrong thing at the wrong time is a completely shared experience.
Which leaves us with a really provocative question to mull over. We look at someone like Jenna Bush Hager, who has immense resources, wealth, and access to world-class help, scheduling assistants, and nannies.
She has every advantage.
Right. Yet she still feels the crushing, tear-inducing weight of not doing enough as a parent.
If someone with every conceivable advantage is breaking down under the pressure of this balancing act, it forces us to look at the system itself.
That's the real issue here.
Does her breakdown suggest that the modern expectation of perfectly balancing a career and parenting isn't just difficult, but fundamentally broken for everyone?
It's an impossible standard.
It is. If she cannot do it flawlessly with all of her resources, why are the rest of us expecting ourselves to pull it off?
It is a thought that really sticks with you. When you step into the world of working parenthood, the landscape is murky. The plates are always wobbling. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is just admit that things are falling apart and let someone give you a hug.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.